Can I grow tea in North Carolina? Can I turn a tea hobby into a tea business? If I do it in my front yard, can I call myself a tea farmer? My name's Dylan, and this is the start to D's, B's, and T's. My goal with these videos is to document the progress of starting a tea farm from seeds. I've been doing it for about 2 years now, and here's what I've done so far. October 2022 is when I started to grow tea. I got 110 seeds from a local tea farmer, and it's important to get seeds from plants that are local so that the plants that grow from those seeds are used to the climate that you're growing them in, and they're much more viable. I cleaned them with IPA and then soaked them for a couple of days, and I separated them between sinkers and floaters. And some people think that seeds that float are less viable because there's a lot of air inside of the seed. I kept both sinkers and floaters separated just to see if there was any difference, but I treated them the same. So I filled this tub with a couple of inches of 1-to-1 sand to soil mixture, and then I put a layer of seeds on top, and then I covered that with more sand to soil mixture. I had a little divide in there to keep the sinkers and floaters separated, and I covered the tub with a glass panel that I had lying around, and this created sort of a micro greenhouse to keep the moisture inside the bin. I kept the soil moist for about 5 months, and then in March they started to sprout. In April of 2023, several of the seedlings were ready to be transplanted, and so I used a chopstick and very carefully pried the seedling out of the sand-soil mixture. And here the sand helped because it was a little bit looser and it came out a bit easier. So you can see the taproot underneath the seed had split in half, and then the tea plant on top. I collected about 34 of these that had germinated and were ready to be transplanted. And I kept them soaked in water until I put them into these 1-gallon nursery pots. And so at this point, I had about 30% germination rate. And then I moved them outside just to make more space on the porch. And a couple of them got eaten, probably by a squirrel, maybe a rabbit. And so I kind of put them in tea jail and kept them safe. I got another round of transplants in June of 2023. I got 15 more of them from that growth bin were transplanted, so 49 total germinations out of 110, which isn't too bad. And then in September of that year, I moved, and of course I had to take all my tea with me, and I think this would have been a hard thing to explain if I had been pulled over. In February of 2024, I pruned the plants at about 6 inches high to promote more lateral growth. Now, I took all these cuttings and tried to propagate them, but all of them died, so I would not recommend propagating old cuttings. I tried to make a cup of tea out of some of the leaves that I had pruned off, and this was probably the worst cup of tea I've ever had. It turned out to be very bitter, which probably is due to the age of the leaves. I wanted to make sure no squirrels or rabbits were eating the tea that I had outside, so for a long time I had them in these guinea pig cages with the cage covers on, but this year the tea had grown so much that it was coming out of those cages. So I took the lids off of them and no squirrels ate the tea, so that was a good thing. And at the end of the year, in October, a few of the plants actually bloomed and they made really nice flowers. It is currently March 3rd of 2025, and this year's main goal is to plant all of the tea. If you'd like to join me on this journey, please consider subscribing.